In today's video, I'm going to be explaining addition and multiplication properties. The first property we're going to look at is the commutative property. The commutative property basically states that order does not matter. So, let's look at the commutative property of addition first. So, for any real numbers, a and b, a plus b equals b plus a. That is the commutative property of addition. That means that if you have 2 plus 4, that's the same thing as 4 plus 2. And we can look and see that that's true. 2 plus 4 is 6, and 4 plus 2 is 6. So 6 equals 6. So the order of the add-ins in this case, which is the 2 and 4, does not change the sum of what that expression gives you. Now let's look at it, the multiplication. So the commutative property of multiplication states that for any numbers a and b, a times b equals b times a. Let's look at 2 and 4 again. 2 times 4 equals 4 times 2. That is what this property states. So 2 times 4 we know is 8, and 4 times 2 we also know is 8. So the commutative property of multiplication, the order of the factors, which are the 2 and 4, does not change the product, which was 8. So let's move on, and now we're going to look at the associative property. So for the associative property, instead of order not mattering, it's the fact that grouping does not matter. So let's look at addition first. The associative property of addition states that for any numbers a, b, and c, a plus b plus c equals a plus b plus c. Now we know from PEMDAS, or the order of operations, that you do what's inside the parentheses first. So let's say that 1 plus 2 plus 3 is the same thing as 1 plus 2 plus 3. That will be our example. So 1 plus 2 we know is 3, and 3 plus 3 equals 1 plus 2 plus 3, which would be 5. 3 plus 3 is 6, 1 plus 5 is 6, and we know that 6 equals 6. So the grouping of the add-ins in this case does not change the sum. Now let's look at it for multiplication. For multiplication, it says for any numbers a, b, and c, a times b times c equals a times b times c. Let's use 1, 2, and 3 again. So 1 times 2 times 3 equals 1 times 2 times 3. We know that we have to do parentheses first. So 1 times 2 is 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So we get 1 times 6. So 2 times 3 we know is 6. And 1 times 6 we know is 6. And those products are equal. So in this case, the grouping of the factors does not change the product. Therefore, the associative property of multiplication is as such. Let's look at the identity property. The identity property of addition says that for any number a plus 0 equals a. That just means that 1 plus 0 equals 1, 2 plus 0 equals 2, 100 plus 0 equals 100. So this property is saying that taking an add-in a and adding 0 to it will never change the sum. So the sum will always be that add-in that you started with. Now, for multiplication, it says that for any number a times 1 equals a. 1 times 1 we know is 1. 2 times 1 we know is 2. 100 times 1 we know is 100. So that means that the product of a factor and 1 is always going to be that same factor. Now we're going to look at the multiplicative property of 0. That just means that any factor times 0 will always be 0. So for any number a times 0 equals 0. Let's say that a is 1. 1 times 0 is 0. Let's try 2. 2 times 0 is 0. Let's try 1,000. 1,000 times 0 is 0. So you can see that for any a times 0 is always going to be 0. And those are the important properties of addition and multiplication.